Welcome to Purpose After Sports, where we interview athletes to share their post-sport journeys and explore how they are reinventing what it means to compete. Guys, I am super excited for this guest. Today, we have convinced Shawn to be on our podcast. Now, Shawn, getting him on this podcast was actually a funny story. I was going to a comedy show with my best friends, just in it for the laughs. And we were laughing through everyone's set, and one comic came on particularly. And again, laughing through his set. And then he decided to get real with the audience and share a little bit about his journey as a former athlete. So me and my friend, we leave the show, we're laughing and we're walking down the street. And I look at her and I was like, we got to go back. We got to get this man back on the podcast. And she was like, I know, I know. So luckily we found him and he was super nice and we got to chit chat a little bit about his journey. So Shawn, thank you so much for taking the time to not only listen to me blab about what we do, but being willing to come on.
For sure, no problem. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Okay, so share with our audience a little bit about your journey with football. When did that become your thing?
Football for me became a thing right around fifth grade. I grew up in a basketball heavy family. My cousins, my uncles all played basketball in high school. A few had opportunity in college, but football was something I gravitated to more the older I got. And then the I guess the biggest thing, my middle school didn't have football team, so I ended up getting onto like a little league, and then from there I never stopped.
Okay. So at that time when you were becoming more of an athlete, what did you believe about your future? Did you see this was something that I could do in college? How was that journey?
For me, because I ended up going the junior college route, my my story is I was great in my area, was all district, couple recognitions here and there, but I was never like the like main star guy in the area. Then my grades weren't good enough to get me in anywhere. Ended up kind of losing hope after a while because I ended up realizing, and I have a very like embarrassing kind of story because I was in the All Star game and they had a line of everyone staying with top three schools and recruiting them. And I didn't have anything at the time because of like my grades, my ACT scores or whatever. So, all the guys that I was, either friends with or played with in community, they were just going through the list. Okay, I got LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss. The next person, I got Purdue, North Carolina, Iowa. And then it got to me and it was kind of like, I don't have anything. And then from there, it was kind of like, dang, like what's about to happen? And then
Yeah.
I got a call from a coach, Tom Marr in Fullerton, California. Never met this man, never heard of Fullerton, California before. And he called and he was explaining to me the junior college situation. So that kind of sparked the idea. And it was still kind of like a way out from where I grew up at. It was kind of like that uh, exit route because I didn't like a few things about where my future looked like it was headed back home. And
Yeah.
was like, if this is an opportunity, let's try it out. So yeah, ended up few calls here, convinced my mom there. Next thing
Yeah.
you know, what 2 months later, I'm headed to Fulton, California.
Now, we did talk a little bit off camera about the JUCO grind. Would you explain to our audience what those years were like? And do you feel like you were fully ready of what that entailed?
Y'all ain't ready for the truth. Y'all ain't ready for that. That JUCO life is not for the weak.
It's
That
not.
JUCO life is not for the weak. You're literally like thrown into the water and you have to figure it out. There's no
Yeah.
panic and there's no, you're the guy. You go in there and you just like everybody else. Everybody's good. Everybody wants a shot. Everybody, you got guys that were bounced back from big D1 schools that you're three deep in the lineup. Yeah. So even down to your pregame meals. People don't know about the pregame meals of the JUCO.
You got to
Yeah.
talk to him, Sean. Talk to
And
him.
the pre I'll never forget it, like, walking into the first game for junior college and the pregame meal well, let me first start with high school. At least at my high school, it was in the school cafeteria. We had like baked chicken, potatoes, green beans. You know what I mean? Pretty
Yeah.
all right. Like it wasn't super top of the line, but it was all right. Junior college, you walk in there, it's a table with peanut butter and jelly, not separate jars. No, not jar peanut butter jar. No, the combined joints,
Yes, yes.
the plain white bread. They get you. Get, hey, that's it. You want to say what after the game? You, that was my strategy. Sometimes you got to
Oh,
Sunday after.
brother. So when you're going through this JUCO grind, is it somehow still convincing you that, hey, I want to continue this? Or were there times at JUCO where you're like, this, what decision did I just make?
So, it's so much for me because I come from a very smaller town. I'm from Baton Rouge. I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I went to a small town called Zachary. And it's very slow paced. Very slow paced, very family oriented area. So I wasn't used to anything city wise. I'd never been to like a bigger city like that. I've been to New Orleans a few times here and there. But being splashed to where you're, an hour from LA, you get to go to the beach, you're a college student, you meet literally, you show up at a house with guys you never met, and it's like, hey, these your roommates. This is your
Yeah,
boy. I was on a bunk bed my first year and a half with another running back from New Iberia, Louisiana. We
man.
had bunk beds, so you're learning your camaraderie that way. You're meeting new people. You got all type of JUCO shenanigans going on. You got parties. You got peanut butter and jelly. You got free in and out here and there. And it's so much. You're kind of like just trying to process it as you go, and then you look
Yeah,
up. And the thing that became interesting for me is kind of like each step you get a little bit closer from like high school. And I was like, oh, now like I'm in college. I'm not like at the big college. 'Cause I grew up around LSU and Southern University. I'm not there, but I'm a little step closer. And then I had a close family friend that went to JUCO route, ended up making it to the league with the Celtics for a while. So that idea was like, oh, this may be possible to make this transition as they did, go to D1 and then possibly get to the NFL. So over time, it became a real grind. Then you realize like this is kind of all I have like to get out of the situations that I'm in. This is what you grew up learning. This is what you grew up seeing. This is, easy for me. It was either like sports, music, and then you had exposure to other things, but you weren't really tapped into it. So, but yeah, that the transition is crazy.
so we're in the JUCO grind. Talk to me about making it and transferring it to your next school. What was that like? Were there offers in your while you were in JUCO, or were you trying to figure that out yourself?
I was now my situation was flipped in a way. Now
Okay.
my grades were on point, but I didn't have much footage, like, for his playing time. We had a lot of
Mm,
guys that were, like, going off the D1 to play behind a few really good running backs, so I was kind of like a utility guy here and there. I was playing fullback mostly, was more of a skills guy, but that was the only position that I can actually get some time at. So my route became from pesking Tony Franklin, which was the offensive coordinator at Louisiana Tech. I ended up getting a hold of his number from my running back coach at Fullerton. And it was one of those things. I'm from Louisiana. I knew one of our defensive backs that had already transferred there. They're recruiting one of our running backs and another quarterback. So I'm like, let me try to get in this mix. Like, I want to go back to Louisiana.
yeah.
Let me get to Louisiana Tech. So I would hit him up, like, hey, coach, like, this is who I am. I really want to come there and play. And one day he called me and he was very cut and dry, like, hey, listen, I know you've been hitting me up, but I'm set on my guys. I have who I need. You know what I mean? If you end up coming here, you'll probably be a scout team guy. You may have your position change, just being real with you. But if you want to go to actual school and play, I looked at your footage. You do have some skill. I can recommend you to some D2s, some D3s that'll actually get you on the field and you'll be able to be productive. And then I was listening to him, but I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm coming. So I literally pulled up to Louisiana Tech, no for sure apartment, no like nothing. So after kind of like showing up, getting into some of the workouts because one of our running back side was backing up and the DB was already there and they had an apartment. So I went down and I was just literally couch surfing. I was some mornings I was waking up on teammates' couches that I hadn't even met yet.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was in one apartment, and then some nights, like, they'll have someone else on the couch, or the person that actually lived there would be there, and I'll have to like figure out because I didn't know if I was gonna like get on or not. And then I had a whole academic situation where my credits didn't transfer over because the curriculum from California to Louisiana was different. So I was kind of
Yeah.
that. Shout out to Hunter McWilliams was a coach that really took me under his wing and really walked me through getting me into a right summer school course so I could become eligible. Because my main thing I didn't know I was gonna be eligible. And then from there, it became where the reality was what Coach Franklin told me. I got there, they changed my position. They had me, I'm more of a skills guy, running back, receiver, but they switched me to DB. And from going forward to your whole life, now going backwards for the first time. And I was back there getting cooked. They had me, boy, they saw me, they was like, oh, yeah, leave back there. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Just do whatever. Just get open. So I sucked at that, and then we had out of nowhere it was two guys in offense went down. They had to move one guy to slot, and then one of the guy that was playing tight end, he ended up getting hurt. He was playing like the H back position, and there was one coach who's like, "Hey, get his lead guy a shot. He's physical. He don't know what he's doing on defense, but he flies around. He's has good effort." So I ended up getting like a 3 4 day practice audition and end up going from not even knowing if I should even be there because I'm not supposed to be there. I'm showing up in team. I'll never forget. I went through a walkthrough of the new recruits when they were kind of on their visit, showing them around. I went around just so I could get the free meal they were getting because I knew what time they was going to the calf. And I was
Yeah.
walking around and everybody's like, who is Buddy? Who is this guy? And I'm kinda just, like, acting like I'm supposed to be there, and then, yeah, from there, from a few injuries, and the next thing you know, I'm on the brink of starting going into week 2. So I end up getting some playing time against Mississippi State. No, Southern Miss my first game and then started against Mississippi State my second game. So it kind of, like, went so fast. It went from, you get to Louisiana Tech and Ruston, you don't know anybody, you couch surfing, your family's kind of worried, like, do we need to come and get you? It's like,
Right.
do we need to come and get you? But it's like, and it ended up working out the super last minute.
And you say, it happened so fast, and I'm sure looking back at your story, it was like, wow, that did happen in the span of a couple weeks. But like in the moment when you're grinding, were there times where like you don't know if you're getting out of this? Like it felt like the slowest thing ever. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
1,000% because there was no like plan. Like
Yeah.
you got done in Fullerton, you're in California, and you're back on a plane to Louisiana and you're back home and you don't like you kind of like you don't know. So you're talking to your boys and it's like, hey bro, you need to come crash on the couch. I was talking to Coach Hunter, and we were just going with the idea of, let me just get to a point to where I'll be able to do my goal of making a team. Like
Yeah.
I've somehow gotten to Fullerton. That was crazy, and it's like, all right, what's the possibilities after that? So it did feel like a very long time. Felt very slow. It's like almost slow mo for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ended up working out in my favor.
And I want to talk a bit about your grit, your determination. There's a bunch of words that come in your story, and I pride athletes a lot with it. We know what it takes to not only go for a goal, but sit in it for the long time, where a lot of people can lose hope and they can try for, a couple months or a couple weeks or maybe some years, and they're like, it's not really working. For some reason, our athlete minds are like, no, 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 you don't understand. Like, I can sit in this and I'm gonna get what you know what I mean, what I came here to do. And so, claps for you for not only doing that, but where did that come from? Did that come from circumstances early on, or like where did that mindset go? Like, no, 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 no. I heard this no, and like you know?
I think it came from watching a lot of resilient people through my life, especially my family.
Mm,
Um, it's always been like what I've take one of the major principles I take from my family is we're going to figure this out.
yeah.
This you're going to take what you have and you're going to squeeze the most out of it. This is what kind of like has created my background in a way. So kind of seeing the hardworking mother, seeing family that was already very optimistic, very supportive. We come from a very like low key like praying family that has a strong belief systems. Watching that and then knowing that this is seeing it as more of a blessing and privilege to do it, uh,
Mm,
to be able to do it because and then one of the biggest things is like percentage wise, people don't understand. When you go from being over, I think statistics show over 1 million players are playing high school, and then out of that million, there's probably 6% that go to make it to play at college, and then out of that 6%, that 1% makes it to play professional. So if you see yourself in that certain percentile, you always think the what if. Another big principle was like, why not me? I I still feel like that now. Like, why not me? I have the
yeah.
same capability that everybody else has, so why not? Why throw in the towel? Why sell myself short?
I love that quote. I have that written in my notes app. I look at it a couple of times a week of why not me?
Mm,
And
okay.
it's helpful in so many things in life where you might be in that lull of just grinding, grinding, grinding. And sometimes it's just a good reminder that it's gonna be your opportunity and we gotta help make it sometimes. All right. So we've talked about JUCO, we've talked about you making it to your next university. Now let's talk about that chapter is potentially coming to a close. What does the next steps look like?
Talking about after Louisiana Tech?
Yes.
Okay. Man, that was a very eye-opening situation, and it's taught me to looking back on it, it's taught me to be okay with asking for help.
Mm,
Um, because you really get to a day, and I just talked about this on stage not too long ago, where you've done all that you can do once you played your last game, you've had your workouts, you've done your pro day, and it becomes days where you're just waking up and you're still optimistic, you're still training, you're still, trying to stay in contact with the coaches you had, seeing if your boys have any plugs with agents and stuff like that. But I realized for me that I wasn't like again, the guy at Louisiana Tech. I was a utility guy, but still feel like I had enough skill to get an opportunity somewhere. Just the reality started to set in a way, and I had to be realistic about realizing, okay, this window is now closing,
yeah.
and I had, I guess, I've had a lot of peace with being able to walk away knowing that I didn't leave anything necessarily on the table. Like I feel that I put, you know, what I had to the max
Yeah.
through the opportunities I was given, the things that shouldn't have happened, and just kind of seeing it through. That left me at a lot of peace. Versus thinking that like, man, if I would have did this, or let me try to force myself into something else because this is all I know. I was able to say, okay, let me try to transfer these skills to life now. and see, the things that I've learned, where can this place me? But you have so much confusion because you don't have any you don't know who you are. You don't have any real self-identity because this thing has been my self-identity since I was, like I said, 5th grade. Like, over time, you realize that's how people know you. When I was in high
Yep.
school, it was like a very quiet, like, shy kid, so I wasn't a very talkative, I wasn't popular in school, but the only thing that I would stand out in was sports. So after a while of, that being your only version of like self-identity at the time, you're like, who am I? What
Yeah.
do I like? What do I like to do? Like, cause everything has been structured for me for years now. I've been told when I need to wake up. I've been told when to be at practice. I've been told when I need to be in class. Everything's been structured. So now I'm a grown man and I'm waking up with full autonomy on my time. I don't have a job. It's like, all right, what you about to do? The help is up. Your people have dumped every dollar they can into you. You have to be a man now to walk into this world. So ended up selling used cars for for some time, and then ended up hitting a wall because I ended up getting fired. It's a true story. I got fired on April Fools and thought it was a joke. Thought it was a joke. And I ended up really having like a settling moment where I was living in Shreveport. Uh I got tired of just waking up and letting life live me. I was
Mm.
just so exhausted with life living me. I was just waking up to the same thing. It's like I'm about to do something different. If I'm gonna be, I always joke. It's like if I'm gonna be depressed, stressed, and broke, why am I doing that? No shade to Shreveport, but why am I doing that in Shreveport, Louisiana?
Yeah.
I can be doing this in Dallas. If I- you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I do it somewhere a little nicer, you know?
like I really got to get to a beach somewhere. I wanted to get back to California. If I would be depressed and cry on the beach versus it, the Barksdale
Oh
Navy.
gosh.
I mean, but yeah, so I moved to Dallas, true story, with $585. With
Mm.
525 going to rent, I found a room on Craigslist with a family. I don't think I ever told these stories before, like online for public. But yeah, found a family on Craigslist, had a little room, moved, got a little job, started working the job. Um, Things were going good. Then end up losing that job and then losing my apartment to a fire that that I wasn't even 1 year into like getting on my feet after being fired in Shreveport, get to
Wow.
Dallas, getting on my feet, finally getting on your feet, then you lose the place to a fire. So it's like it goes back to some of those key principles we talked about earlier. Like, all right, you still have to understand that this is going to work out in some way. And that's what's taught me to kind of take each moment in life and phase that you have and kind of just squeeze the most out of it. Because you never know where you end up and how it's gonna happen. So
You don't. Thank you for sharing this part of your story with us because I was watching one of your clips on social media. And of course, I'm thinking, oh, it's just going to be, something funny he's talking about. And it was. But then you talk about getting fired on April Fools and um, how a lot of people, you would see it as a negative, but it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to you.
yeah,
And what did that moment force you to face about yourself and maybe your identity and what you wanted to do?
it was a turning point for me because again, you're still struggling with that identity factor. I feel I was chasing identities that weren't me. I was
Yeah.
more trying to fit into groups. I was trying to get the corporate job and do the things you see on social media, the things that you've seen that your friends are doing, and you are kind of like trying to create your world based on that and everybody else's rules, and you're not living like on your own terms. So that's when I started to like venture out and really test and do things that I love to do. Um, yeah, and trying to and using that as like a transitioning tool and not worry about any other outside factor other than finding peace and happiness because it's like y- you know in this life you don't know.
You
So
don't.
control what you can control, show with a good attitude, show with good energy, show with good effort, and the rest will work out.
So bring our audience through. We move, we find this place. Now, where does comedy start to be out of all these things that are happening that aren't good, where does comedy start going like, yeah, like let me bring this into my life?
I've always loved comedy. I've always loved comedy, all the way from like the Key and Peele skits, Chappelle Show,
Mhm.
yeah, like old school comedy like that, Def Comedy Jam, things like that. And once I moved to Dallas, one of my, I would always try to find things to do, but I was broke at the time. So I would try to find like free events or easy things to do. So one free event that always pop up was open mics. So
Mm.
I started going to open mic at Hiatus in Dallas. And before, well, let me back up. Before that, I was speaking with FCA when I was at Louisiana Tech because shout out to Walter Allen. He was a mentor of mine, and he would have me because I shared with him like kind of my story over time. And then after a while, he was like, "Man, you really need to share your story. Like people need your story." So he would bring me to different schools. I would speak at high schools, elementary schools, and kind of just share kind of my story, encourage the kids. After a while, I was like, I really enjoy doing that. I want to get into coaching, but I also kind of enjoyed the speaking avenue. And then I would sit up on mics, and then you would see some of the same comedians over time would do the same stuff, and it would either not hit. And I would be thinking, like, man, I would be terrified to do that, but they've just bombed again, and they're at the back of the bar as if nothing happened. So it's like, I'm sure I can have that mentality towards this too. And I've already spoke, but I don't know how to get back to that because I'm not playing college ball anymore. And I
Mm.
feel like I want to speak and share my story to students or like just individuals about finding purpose after that original dream doesn't happen. And that was something I was on for a while, but I didn't know where. I was like, at open mics, I was just doing a small equation in my head. Like, you can go and put your name on a list and you can get on stage for 3 to 5 minutes and talk. In my mind, it didn't matter what I was talking about. Let me see how I feel on stage before I say this is what I want to do. 'Cause I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people say, "Hey, I want to do this thing." It's just an idea, that idea, and they go and do it, and it's completely different from what they saw. So I sat it up on mics for almost like a year, and I was just telling myself, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." Then I started talking to other people about doing it, and then just became all talk. This is after a while. I was like, "Bro, are you gonna do it or what? You've been talking about doing it. You've been talking about doing it. Are you gonna do it?" So, and to finally doing it, was like sucked. It was so bad my first couple times, but it was always a different person with some type of different feedback or something that I would take as a challenge to do better the next time if I had the opportunity to do it. Because at first it just started as to check it off my bucket list. And then
Mm.
after doing it, and then one guy was like, "Hey, bro, it sounded like you had so many stuff, but we couldn't hear you. You need to hold the mic better." And that was one lesson. And it became okay for the next one. My only goal for the next one is to hold the mic better, let them hear what I'm saying. So I approached each time with one thing. All right, this person told me, this comedian pulled me to the side and said, if I said it this way this time, all right, the next time, I don't care if the whole 4 minutes is terrible, but if I executed well at that thing, I won the night. So it became like a repetition game of that. 'Cause I started right when COVID happened after they reopened the clubs. I told myself,
Gotcha.
I did it for the first time right when COVID was popping off, and then took because clothes are so close, and I actively got back into it. And I was just telling myself, let that be the thing, and then it transferred from there to like now it's helping me overcome social anxiety issues. And I've been praying for community for a long time. And I was kind of realizing I was putting all the pieces together. Okay, you've been praying for community, but what if community is behind the fear of you doing this thing you've been terrified of doing? So it kind of all started to kind of piece together. And then the biggest part of it was, and I've been working on a project where it's called Fear to Purpose and Fear to Profit.
Mhm.
And where I literally realized when I was in financial pinches in certain times, my way of kind of like making me ends meet would be doing Uber Eats and DoorDash. And I'm riding all around Dallas, getting food, getting out my car, going to restaurants, doing this whole thing. And it was one night, my first paid show, shout out to Jordan J, my first paid show at a barbershop. And he paid me before the show. I didn't even know, I wasn't even realize how much I was going to make on the show. And he paid me. And I got home after, and then I got the notification from my DoorDash of what I had made from the previous like 2 days or whatever. And I was like, I just made more money sitting on a stool talking for 15 minutes than me riding around Dallas for 3 hours. It's like, let me this like it started the clock is like, all right, like why have I been hustling backwards?
Yeah.
You know, so having that mindset and then just knowing that, like you said, you never know where this will take you. And the fact that I'm doing it like blows my mind almost every time.
No, your parts of your story just make give me chills almost in a way, and one of the things that you said in the comedy set too was, I've was hiding behind, that fear, and right behind it, and then once you started doing it, all those things slowly started to come together. And that's such an important thing that I hope our audience is able to take away from this, because I feel as former athletes, or if you're in some other community, some identity you've had for a very long time, you're comfortable in that and you're really, really good at that. And then when you start experimenting or trying new things or putting yourself out there, it can be like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But as soon as you start taking those steps or maybe conquering those fears, there's so many things on the other side and so many
It's,
things maybe you're meant more to do. You just gotta take that step.
it's so much more. It's so much more on the other side than what your expectations are and what you're trying to get to. And one of the biggest lessons I've been learning is taking the how out of it. A lot of
Mm,
times we're so locked into the how it's going to happen. We have a way that we want it to happen in our heads and the way we walk. And a lot of times we should have a plan of how we want things to happen, but sometimes we block ourselves from seeing the other side of it. Like some
yeah,
of the biggest blessings I've had so far in comedy and opportunities I've had have come from the most bizarre ways. Like here in Chicago now, quick the quick story of my first of how matter of fact of how I'm back here now.
yeah.
The matter of fact, okay, all right, all right. This is all
Give
right.
our audience the tea.
Okay, okay, because you're a part of it. You're at the Ask Comedian show. That was so Kyrie that puts that show on, right? I met him through a Facebook post a while back because he posted, "Hey, I'm a comedian in Chicago. I'll be in Dallas these dates. Which shows or mics are going on, whatever." His post sat there for like 2 or 3 hours. Nobody had said anything. I hit him up on his DM, like, "Yo, bro, these are some mics. These are some good spots. Hit up. These some people hit up." And me and him end up meeting at Outfit Brewing on a Friday. We both performed, chatted, chill for a second. He was like, "Hey, bro, I like your stuff. If you're ever in Chicago, like, let me know. I can get you on my show, whatever." So he sent me some dates. 2 months later, I was like, you know what? I'll be able to get out there for the October show. So we lined it up. I come out here and I'm doing his show that Friday. He gets me a show Sunday at Second City. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Sidney Castillo, but Sidney Castillo was going to be in Riddles out here. And I had a plan. I was like, dang, I'm a fan of Sidney. Let me go. I'm gonna try to go to his show and then do my show, and that'd be a night. But I realized that he was at the other comedy club across city. So I was like, the time
Okay.
I can work out, I don't have a car to get back and forth. Oh, I'm gonna have to miss the show. So I do the show at Second City. Next day, I'm flying back to Dallas. I'm one of the last people to board the plane, just running late, not paying attention to how the train can have delays and stuff like that. I'm getting on the plane sweating. I'm already super tired, had a long night. And there's a lady sitting in my seat. So now I'm sitting there trying to figure out the seat situation, make sure that she's in my seat and I'm in her seat. I don't care. We're both exit row. Whatever stay you want to sit by your husband, it is what it is. So I knock out. I knock out. Uh, I'm writing maybe 20 minutes before we land. And as we land, somebody leans over like, "Hey, bro, my phone died. What time is it?" And I tell him, "Oh, it's just 3:40." And then I look back over, I was like, "There's no way I've been sitting next to Sidney Castillo this entire time on this flight."
Stop. Stop.
So I'm like, so I'll play it cool. And then I tell him as we get on plane, I was like, "Hey, bro, like I didn't want to bother you, but I was actually trying to put up on your show last night. I'm a fan, whatever. I'm actually in Dallas doing comedy." He was like, "You for real? You be doing comedy?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, he's like, "I'm gonna ask about you." He's like, "Come do some time on my show, on the 28th." So end up doing time on that show. From there, that's led me to my first weekend at a club. That led me to featuring on and hosting the big New Year's Eve show at the club. He took me to perform in front of my family in Baton Rouge.
Wow.
And that all came from meeting Kyrie through a Facebook post. And at the same time, in Dallas, I was like, when we talked about controlling what you control, I was doing for what I feel like doing everything that they tell you in the comedy scene that you need to be doing to get into the clubs, to get your first weekend, to get feature spots, to get your first night. Everything they tell you need to be doing, I was doing. I'm showing up. Doing well at the mics. I'm featuring on shows. I'm meeting the hosting, like doing everything, but that
Yeah.
still didn't yield me those results. But it yielded me those results on a wrong plane seat coming back from Chicago from a show that I came out here to do from a Facebook post. And it goes just like you never know. And now that opened the door, and I just did my first bout show at Laugh Factory on Sunday. And it just all circles back from a response on Facebook versus doing what they tell you need to be doing. And when things like that happen, my mindset then goes, all right, what else can happen?
Yeah.
What are the other possibilities? If this happened, what are
Why
some of
not
the
you?
other, why not me? What are the
Why
other
not you?
possibilities? That's why I take myself away from like when people are so worried about the the how or the the when is gonna happen. Cause for example, if I got the call from the club, "Hey, you wanna feature this weekend?" Yeah, I'm gonna be very excited and be very thankful. This is what I've been working towards, but I know that I was up for it. It's almost like being up for an Oscar. I'm up for an Oscar out of these 5 people. I know I have a possibility of winning, you know what I mean? So I'm not
Yeah.
as surprised when I win because I know this was one of the goals. You know what I mean? But I got
Yeah.
the Oscar on the wrong plane seat coming from Chicago.
But I like you being so real with our audience because I think all of those, and I'd even argue with you, some of those opportunities or the things that you thought you were supposed to be doing might have been preparing you for the opportunities you were going to get. You just weren't ready for yet, or they just weren't happening how you were supposed to yet. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
yeah,
all of those experiences and those times you kept going to those mics or listening to somebody, or maybe they were prepping you, and then when you got those opportunities, you were ready. And I love that because and they weren't all cute. Like you couldn't I'm sure you were really upset that you couldn't be at the show and you wanted to put your face out there not only because you were a fan, but it was a good opportunity to watch someone you really enjoyed. And then you're like, dang, like this is just not how it's supposed to be. But like you said, you can't get stuck up on the how because the universe had another answer for you. So
yeah,
just wait.
yeah.
Just wait. I love it. Okay. So you talked a little bit about social anxiety, and you shared a little bit about the show that I got to see from you about that. Talk to our audience if you're willing to a little bit about that, and you said that comedy has helped you face that fear a little bit. Is there still a little bit of that going each time you get on stage, or what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah, 1,000%. It still happens. Growing up, like I said, I was a very kind of very shy, very quiet, very indecisive kid. Um, Single mother, no siblings. So I was very slow to like have an opinion or talk or anything like that. So I um I battled with speaking up for myself for a long time, and I became like very passive. And then I noticed like socially I would have like almost like a weird panic where I would get to a certain point and then it would be like a wall and I would retreat. Like it can be as simple as a conversation with people. It can be meeting new people, or if I'm in, social gatherings, like I can be very withdrawn for a while. It's like, all right, me putting myself on stage it helps me eliminate the idea of it being me on stage. And
Okay.
I have the authority where I'm not, considering other people's thoughts. I'm not considering like any of those things because this is my time to share what's going on in my brain, no matter what your perspective on it is or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes growing up, there was always, there's always been I love it because there's always been like some type of response to something. Sometimes you just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can say like, "Hey, I'm feeling this," and a lot of times people will say like, "Oh, you're feeling this. I felt this too," or "You shouldn't feel like this because of this," or how. Sometimes like I get that, but so with comedy, it gives you that lane of like, I'm in authority to be heard right now. And then you can bring like the vulnerability aspect of it. You can bring your own stories to it and you can share from your own perspective. And it's helped me because I've been able to realize also the biggest thing that I told myself is bigger than me that has shifted things a lot because of responses you get after shows. People that have bad days, people that you learn so many like people's stories too.
Yeah.
So that helps me open up about my story and my vulnerability in knowing that either I'm not the first or last to be dealing with whatever it is. And you'll also be surprised by who else is dealing with that same thing or even at a higher level than what you're experiencing at. So being able to navigate through that like helps me a lot with the anxiety aspect of it.
No, that wasn't I know our audience members, a lot of them will be able to relate to that. And a big reason why I had to turn around because I was like, I resonated with your story. I know, and like you said, you found joy in sharing your story. I was like, I know someone else needs to hear this. Like, if I can't say it, you talk about it great. And it can be another example of somebody conquering a fear when it might not seem like it's possible. So, thank you for being real with our audience. Okay, so we're moving on. For if you're able to give some advice right now, looking back on your identity, do you feel like you outgrew it, or do you still carry a lot of football with you today?
Um, eh, I carry a lot of the principles. Carry a lot of the principles and the mindset. Um, and knowing how to manage other people's like emotions and to not take things personal. Mhm.
I just got done going on a rant about that exact subject because I think going through sports and football is very fast paced as well, and I played basketball. You're sometimes having to learn a play in crowds when you have 30 seconds to win or lose a game and you got one time to listen to this and figure this out. The, the nothing else is that serious. Like I can handle, like people will be chaotic in everyday life and I'm like, is there like a shot clock going on like that I don't know about?
Yes.
I'm
And
like it. What?
And it put in that's crazy you said it because it puts you in situations to where you have no choice where you can't hit a panic button.
Yeah,
Nobody you can't sub yourself out. You can't like, you have this moment in time to execute at one thing.
yeah.
Are you gonna rise to the occasion or not? A funny story, playing against Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel's Heisman year. I hadn't worked on the special teams for onside kicks for weeks. An injury happens. We're like a minute something left in the game. Lee, and I'm getting called into a game and given two specific instructions. One's very explicit. And you're given instructions of what to do, and you're in this situation like, you can't mess this up. You ain't supposed to be in this situation.
Mhm.
And then you kind of go off script just a little bit, and that turns into you recovering an onside kick against Texas A&M. The videos on YouTube.
He said there's proof.
But yeah, but long story short, it I don't know, it challenges your mindset to slow down.
Yeah.
And it lets you see people in a different light of how they how how they handle adversity.
Mm, yes,
Yeah,
very true. I like you talking about that, and going on a different, uh, avenue than most people would think because, yeah, I think learning how to not only control your emotions, but maybe be the calm in the storm a lot of the times in rooms where you're like, "We'll we'll just get to a solution." You know what I mean? Of, like,
the
it can't.
solution.
Yeah,
We
like,
don't have to get to a solution. No matter how much we panic, how much we freak out, how much we cry, end of the day, we still gonna have to find some type of solution.
yeah.
No matter what it is in life, you gotta, yeah. And if you don't, either way, you're still making a choice. Oh, no action is still a choice. And it's kind of what side do you want to be on? I always ask myself that. What side of this do I want to be on? The longer that I procrastinate, the longer that I have the angst about it, the longer that I don't approach or tackle this thing, is gonna be the longer that you face it. So it's like do you want to get through? I think it's some story about a buffalo or something like that, that they run towards the storm when
Mm.
stuff happening because now you're running towards the storm, you'll get through it quicker because it's passing. However, the I may have butchered the buffalo story, but it's something like that.
Somebody's running through it, and we got the message. Okay, so for our audience who some members might be feeling stuck right now, maybe not in their sport, but just in life, what would you tell them right now?
Just feeling stuck.
Mhm.
This I would say that this isn't your forever.
Mm,
It's it's not your forever, and that you'll live through so many versions of yourself that you're not even aware of that you're gonna have to pull out. You're not aware of the person that you're gonna have to pull out because of things that are gonna happen. There's gonna be other adversities. There's gonna be goods. There's gonna be Lord times where you just don't feel like approaching anything, having a solution to anything, but still having a mindset of what side do I want to be on? What side in having some type of solution oriented to where what can I go out and control in this situation? With everything that I have, my time, my resources, my money, what can I go out and do today to make the situation I'm trying to get out of better? And spend time locking in on that and not being afraid to ask for help. I just made a video the other day saying that ask more questions and the answers are in your contacts. I think a lot of times we have resources that are willing and want to help us and give us information, but we don't ask.
Mhm.
I realized that when I was struggling moving from when I lost my place when I first got to Dallas. Certain days I'm prideful, trying to sleep in my car. Friend had office building, sleeping in, and I'm doing these things. Over time, I've thought back on is like, could have asked for some help. You had people that if you would have told them straight up, like, yo, everything is hit the fan. And I still had the mindset of like, I want to work myself through this, which I did, but still having an aspect was like, you ain't have to be hungry that night. Not yes. You
We didn't have to eat that PB&J, like,
yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't.
exactly. You gotta be, and I guess I would say being real with yourself, being realistic where you're at, and
Yeah.
don't be on the don't let this whole social media stuff confuse you. Everybody living ain't that sweet. People dealing with stuff just like you, if not at another level, bad
Mhm.
or good. Yeah, it, no matter the money, the cars, no matter what, you still got to deal.
We have a fast break section, and we do rapid fire questions. Gotta be the first thing that comes to your head. Are you
Mm,
ready?
just do it.
All right. Your first thought before going on stage?
Have fun.
Ooh, okay. Bombing a set or losing a game, which hurts more?
Oh, losing a game.
Okay. One thing football taught you that comedy didn't.
Sometimes you gonna eat PB&J at 2 in the morning.
Okay.
That's
What
all
is
you
one
got.
thing what is one thing comedy taught you that football didn't?
You never know what people are going through, and you never know who you can heal by what you do, or that this was a healing thing that I do. Yeah.
Okay, this is good. All right, favorite joke you've ever told or your favorite type of humor?
Do you want to hear right now or
Listen,
no?
listen, if you wanna, drop a little set on us, we'll listen.
I'm a, well, I'm gonna do one that I hate. I'm gonna do a joke that I hate so much.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do it. So I like living by myself, right? I love
Mhm.
living by myself because you can do whatever you want. You can throw what kind of parties you want to throw. So, weather's getting good, So every summer I throw a midget pool party because I just want to have a little get together, take a little dip. I hate that joke so much.
I had no idea where that was going. What a change of events. Okay. All right. Something people wouldn't expect about you.
Now I love listening to Adele.
Ooh, okay. And then what is one word to describe your journey?
One word?
One word.
Oh, bizarre.
Bizarre is
Bizarre. Bizarre.
bizarre is the word.
Bizarre.
Would
Well,
you like to elaborate to our audience?
just what I've had so many situations, it's kind of like, what? Like, this is,
Mm,
like even
yeah.
how I ended up doing it, it's just like, what? It's
What's going
bizarre
on?
or unpredictable. That's the second word.
You think part of your story is predictable?
I say unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Predict-
Okay. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know if anyone would have predicted that. Oh man. All right. As we're wrapping up, is there anything else that is pulling at your heartstrings or you would like to let our audience know?
um, remember that each day that we wake up, we're closer to our last one. So why not wake up in the spirit of doing the best you can with what you have? I guess a quote in scripture that I live by through my mom is, "Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might." So whatever it is, whatever big, whatever small thing that is, remember you're here to live one life. So no matter what you look like, who you choose to pray to, who you choose to love, coexist peacefully together and make the most out of your life, make the best decisions you can for your life, and have fun. Stay off that Instagram and TikTok that's lying to you so much. Use it as a tool.
Thank you. Thank you, Shawn Lee. I appreciate you coming on and just being real about your story with us. I think a lot of people are going to hear this and not only relate themselves, but be able to share a lot of um, similar parts of your story as part of theirs. So, where can people find you? Come to a show, maybe follow along on what you're doing.
Yeah, you can find me at Shawn Lee Comedy. The Shawn is with a SHAWN. Shawn Lee Comedy on all social medias. If you need, I'll pull up well. If you got a family reunion, your grandma needs some jokes,
You'll do it.
I'll pull
You're the
out.
guy to call.
Yeah, give me a call. Schedule's open right now. It's sometimes you do find yourself performing for wings, and that's not what we get for tonight, So I'm out here.
All right, all right. Maybe grandma needs a little fun at the reunion. Okay.
Yeah.
Sean's the person to call. All right. Thank you again. If you liked episodes like this, make sure that you like and subscribe. Send this to somebody you know that could benefit from it, and we'll be back.